And welcome everybody to the Crochet Crowd, and today I'm going to be working with the Bernat Softy Chunky line here, and I'm also working with a secondary yarn at the very same time, and it's an economy eyelash yarn. Really super soft. I really can't say the supplier I got it from because it's not one of my regular people that support my channel. So yeah, so that's what I'm using, and how many I'm going to be using I'll have to figure out at the end. And what I did is that I've already started working on this project, so I actually pulled it apart so I can film from scratch. And so basically my two strings are actually going to be wound together, just like you see there, but you don't have to do that. It's just something for myself. So let's get started, and here we go. So let's get started. We have two strings and they're coming together, and you can twist them up a little bit if you prefer, so that you remember that they're one string. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about they're actually one string. So let's do our slip knot. So wrap it around your finger twice. This is the back of your hand, taking the back one, taking it over the forward, and now grabbing, make sure you grab both strings, playing it up over the middle, and then slip in your hook and pull it snug. Okay, so what we need to do now is just chaining up 5. The slip knot does not count as 1. So grabbing the material, pulling it through for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you can already see how the material is going to mix together to make a nice furry coat for you. So now what we want to do is stick the hook in the beginning chain, the starting chain that we did, just like so. You'll end up with like a U shape if you pull it down just like so. Put in your finger so that you can hold that U shape closed. Put the straggler over top, just like so, and now grab the material and pull through both. So now you end up with your ring. So now what we want to do is chain up to our 3. So 1, 2, and 3. That actually counts as 1 double crochet in a pattern. So let's double crochet going right into the center of the ring where your finger is. And a lot of this particular pattern is about using your fingers to feel for holes. Okay, so the double crochet, so the chaining of 1 or chaining of 3, double crochet equals 2. So chaining 1 to turn a corner, and now going in, pulling it through, 2 and 2, and in again, double crochet. So you want 2 double crochets in a row, and now we're going to turn our first corner. So chain 1 and go back into the ring again for another 2. Make sure you always try to make sure you're grabbing both strings. If you don't do it once in a while, it's not a big deal, but it's good. It's good practice to make sure you do get both on board. Turning a corner again, so chaining 1, going back into the center of the ring for 2 more double crochets. Okay, and now chaining 1 again, going back in for another 2. And now we really want to feel to make sure that there's enough stitches in here, because I've been talking, I'm really not sure. So use your fingers and feel around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and because that we're doing hexagonal, we need 6 sides. So chaining 1 and put in 2 more. And you might find you have to really spread out your circle. You might have to move some yarn around on the ring in order to fit that last one in, which is fine because that makes it nice and dense. And now we've done the final 2, so just chaining 1 and slip stitch it to the beginning top chain that you started with. Grab the material. For slip stitching, just stick your hook in, grab your material, pull through and through. So just do a quick double check to make sure. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's move on to our next rotation. So we're going to move on now, and we're just going to now chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now the way I do it is that you're going to see a gap right underneath, and that's where I want you to go. So I want you to double crochet into the gap underneath. Okay, so the chaining counts as 1 double crochet already, and then the double, so there's your 2 there. So now we're just going to stretch across the runway, and the runway is the pieces in between corners, so we just chain 1 every time we do that. So feeling with your fingers for the next hole that's in there, we're going to put 2 double crochets, and that is the first corner. So 2 double crochets, and always to turn a corner in this particular pattern, you're just going to chain 1 and then go back into the same hole. Okay, so now you're on the runway again, so chain 1 and just feeling again for the next hole, And you'll be able to notice after this rotation if you've actually got your 6 sides on there. This is actually take number 3 because the last 2 takes I kind of missed it. So we're on the corner, so 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 back into it. So that's how you do your corners. It's 2 1 2. Okay, so you got that. So let's chain 1 again because we're on the runway, and now just feel for your next hole. Okay, so that was 2 double crochets, 1 chain, and 2 double crochets into the same hole. Okay, so we're not quite done yet. You can see where you're kind of growing. You can see it's kind of lopsided, so you know for sure you're not done your rotation. Feeling around again on the bottom to feel for the next gap. I would not say this is a newbie crap by any stretch of the imagination, because you need to feel for your holes. If you're not familiar with crochet, it would be a little bit difficult to do that. Okay, and now chaining 1 because we're on the runway. Again, feeling for the next gap. And if you're not sure, you'll be looking for 2 posts, right? Okay, so you kind of got 1 2 3 4 5, so then this is the final coming on the top. So what do we got here? So chaining of 1, going into the same hole because we're turning the final corner. So it was the chaining of 2 in the runway, and then of course we're coming to the very end, so then the end we put 2 double crochets into the final hole. The way I do my grannies is that I do half of the hole first, and then I finish it off by coming back around. So we want to chain 1 and slip it into the top of the starting chain. So you can obviously see at this moment that you can actually see at this moment we actually truly have a hexagonal in action. So let's begin to move up into the next rotation. Okay, so to get started in the next rotation, we want to always chain up 3. We're going to always chain up 3 when we move up on the rotations. There we go. Now feeling for the gap right underneath, okay, we want to put in another one. So that is considered the first half of the first corner, right? So that's all that we want to put into there. Now the next gap is the runway, and then the very next one is the corner. Do not confuse these when you're doing it. You actually can see a little bit of a mistake here. I shouldn't actually show this, but the actual bottom, see how it's kind of like folding in, just like so. It's not actually staying flat like the one side, and that's because on this side I got confused on where the corner truly was, and I know that's hard to see, but you want to really pay attention to that. Okay, so we want to chain 1, and so we're going into the very first on the runway. So the runway, we're always going to put 3 double crochets right in there. Okay, so on the corners we do 2, chain 1 and 2, but on the runway we're always going to put 3 double crochets in, and of course chaining 1 and then back into, in this particular example, we're going back into the next corner. So we're just going to feel for it, put 2 double crochets in a row, like that, and then go back into the same corner. Now chaining 1 because we're now on the runway of the next area, and again using your fingers to feel for where the holes are. Okay, so now we're chaining 1 and feeling for the next one, which happens to be the next corner. So it was 2, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Okay, and now chain 1, and we're back on the next runway, so it's just 3 double crochets in a row. Chain 1 and back into the next corner. Just feel for it. Feel for it and eye it up, I should say, just to protect yourself so you know where you're going. And so that was 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 in the same corner, sorry. Okay, and now we're back on the next runway, so chain 1, just feeling for it, 3 double crochets, lost my stitching, sorry. When in doubt, pull out, that's what I say. So we're on the runway, so we're chaining 1, and the next one happens to be a corner, so it's 2 double crochets in a row, chain 1 and 2 double crochets in a row. Okay, and now we're back on the runway again, so chain 1, and the runway has 3. Okay, chain 1 and going into the next corner. And with this pattern, it's pretty obvious that when you get all the way around when you get all the way around, see, it will look kind of normal, look like a full hexagonal. So we're on the corner, so 2, 1, and 2. Okay, we're chaining 1, we're on the final runway before this rotation is done. So final runway, chain 1, and then remember I told you we did the first half, so we're going to finish off the second half of the starting hole by 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then slip it into the top of the first chain, pulling it through and through. So that is your next rotation, just like so. So you can see how thick it is. But you should be paying attention now. See, one side is a lot more furrier than this side that we're working on. So that would, your outside there would be the actual outside of your jacket, just to make sure you get lots of fur on the outside. So let's move along to your next lineup. Okay, if you're keeping count right now, we just finished row number 3, and we actually want row number 9 on this, so we want to continue around, so we go 9 times. So let's chain up again, and I'm not going to film all 9 times. I'm going to film one more time, and then you can get the grasp of what you need to do. So to move up every time, what we're going to do is just chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3. And now just pulling it apart, you'll see where the gap is right underneath. Well, you'll feel for it for sure. And then you'll put a double crochet in there. Okay, so you just did the first half, and now what we want to do is move along the runway. So in this rotation now we have 2 runway spots and then before the corner. So to get into the runway, so we just chain 1 and go to your first hole, feel for it. Is your runway, so they always put 3 in your runways. So, and then what separates the runway is chain 1, and let's go into the next one on the runway. Oops, I dropped my string. Okay, chain 1, and now we're on the first hole. On the first corner hole, so just double crochet twice, just like we did before.